Thank you, Audrey. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us for ASRM's Scientific Congress, third and last press briefing. We are joined by Dr. Zhang from Hope Fertility Center in New York, and he's going to tell us some more about his work. Dr. Zhang?
Thank you.
When you're ready.
Sure. Good morning. First of all, I would like to apologize for being late and keep you guys waiting. And I just lost my voice, so I'm trying to take some hot shower, bring my voice back. And number two, I really appreciate you all here. We all know tonight is the last presidential debating, and I know most of our media attention already draws to the evening in Vegas, but you still find that this might be interesting to you here, and I am really appreciated. And of course, it's always a pleasure, and I thank to the ASRM for really pay attention on the advancement of reproductive science and have us here today to meet with the press. And I think maybe it's easy for me just to briefly describe what we have done, and then we open for questions.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the history in May, and again, I cannot stop to thank to the ASRM that our work actually started approximately 20 years ago, 1997. As you can see, that was a private paper chosen by ASRM. So this is not something new. It just happened last night. It's a 20 years work in making, and since then we have done multiple studies follow this line. And this also we can see, thanks to our colleagues, as more and more colleagues joining this work, and I will see from the Newcastle group and Dr. Turbo, and he actually was just awarded a night shift 2 months ago during Queen's birthday honors for his non-stop work to find a solution to treat patients with mitochondrial DNA disease and how to prevent the offspring of mitochondrial DNA disease. So they have done tremendous amount of work and in using nuclear transfer technique. Not quite the same as what we do, but they also work on this direction. And we also have our colleague from Oregon group, and led by Professor Lipov, and they did extensive work in the monkeys on spindle nuclear transfer and proved the safety of this technique in the monkey in the primate. And also the group in Columbia University, led by Professor Agley, they did multiple in vitro studies to prove the efficiency of nuclear transfer. So we are being fortunately, with our own work and the foundation work done by our colleagues, they come out the current life burst work through the nuclear transfer, and our technique is mainly focused on the spindle nuclear transfer, which is different from a Newcastle group, which is focused on the per-nuclear transfer, and from the many religious reasons, or for the many reasons, which is found to create an embryo to perform nuclear transfer may not be the answer to every single case, and we focus on the spindle nuclear transfer. But as I already showed in previous slides, that the spindle nuclear transfer also done by the Columbia group and by Oregon group. But the difference, our technique is established by avoid use the virus to induce the cell construction. Instead, we use that more, we call the clean method, use electrofusion, which I'm going to describe. First of all, let's just look at what the technique is about, the technique. So the left panel is the patient and the right panel is the donor egg. The principle is very straightforward. First of all, you want to remove the most important part of the human being, the DNA from the nucleus. And I always call it like a chicken egg, as is the egg yolk. So we remove, the first step is to remove the spindle from the patient and the donor. And this is the first step of this technique. And second step is to transfer the previously removed patient donor oocyte. Of course, the donor spindle already been removed previously. Now let's pay attention. That was a key technique which we did different from all the previous investigators. And the integration of the nucleus is accomplished by electrofusion, which has not been done by any group, by Newcastle, by Columbia, by Oregon group. And this is a part of the revolutionary technology. So this just shows the concept how the mitochondrial DNA segregation can be influenced by this technique. So the idea is very simple. We have the donor, which has a wild-type normal mitochondria. We have the patient who has two types of mitochondrial DNA. One, again, the wild-type normal one, but then the dark one is the mutated, which can cause disease. So during the exchange, as we described in the previous slide, the spindle, which is very important, which carries the mitochondria, the spindle carries the DNA, nuclear DNA, which determines who we are, will be replaced into a patient, a donor oocyte, which carries the normal, healthy, wild-type mitochondrial DNA. Now we have a reconstituted oocyte and ready to be fertilized and hopefully making normal life birth. In this particular patient, very interesting, through the normal IVF procedure, majority of the eggs show different kind of a degeneration. And only very few eggs were mature and was possible for the nuclear transfer procedure. And among the 9 eggs, only 5 show the clear meiotic spindle by birefringent technique using a poloscope. So this video shows actually how this technique works and the micro manipulate and dissecting under the inverted microscope. So again, you can see to remove the nuclear spindle. And now this technique will not be available a few years ago, but we don't have a very sophisticated microscope system to visualize human spindle. So the technology development became very important for our field. Now this is a very critical step to insert the meiotic spindle. Now let's pay attention to how exactly these spindles are integrated into the oocyte. And this part was done without using viral protein. So among the 5 oocytes which are suitable for the reconstruction, and the 4 was successfully reconstructed, and 1 normal embryo was obtained through this procedure, which is the euploiding through the genetic testing, so-called pre-implantation genetic testing, and also it was a male. We are very pleased with the result because our original plan is to using a male embryo transfer. As we all know that mitochondrial DNA or disease are inherited through maternal system. So technically, if you transfer the male embryo, the mutated gene will be eliminated from this family. So just want to spend the last 2 minutes to quickly describe what is the mitochondria and how the mitochondrial DNA mutation causes disease. So we all know the mitochondrial DNA is a circular DNA which makes a certain number of the genes, which in conjunction with the genes from nuclear DNA to help produce the energy for our cells. So the mutation in various parts of the mitochondrial DNA, therefore, including the LEIGH syndrome, which we deal with in this patient, can cause energy production effect, which can cause a spectrum of the disease from no clinical symptoms to very severe ill patients with multiple organ failure, and eventually most time patient died on the wheelchair or due to the respiratory distress. Indeed, in this patient, which is already produced the 4 miscarriages, and the 2 children was deceased due to this mitochondrial DNA disease with 100% mutation, and both babies was born with difficulty to have a breastfeeding, and both have difficulty to breathe. And how they found this disease? The kids practically crying nonstop 24 hours immediately after was born. Now, I don't know how many audience here have experienced being the mom. You know, it's a very, very stressful, and without knowing what's the reason why the baby born, and the nonstop crying for 3 months, and after that, brain damage. They just basically no response to anything. They don't cry, they don't eat, they don't do anything. So if this disease are fully expressed, it is a terrible, terrible disease, not to the innocent children, but it's to the family. So we really feel that we have the responsibility and to advance the science and to help these families. And we know science is not a race, and it is not a race, but in a sense, it is a race for the families to find the cures, find hope for their children, for their future children. We are very fortunate to be able to contribute in this part of the world. Without the foundation work through the initial in vitro fertilization in England, without latest development in the embryo freezing, now we take it as a norm, without the very crucial technology, PGD. Again, now we talk about PGD all the time, but without this technique development in England, and without a very sophisticated, efficient fertilization technique called ICSI, again, it's widely used in the world. Today's work in this continent will not be possible. So I just stopped here, and I would like to take some questions from the audience. And I also, many of my colleagues here, and this work, without my colleagues, without the support, this work would be totally impossible. So I will stop here, and my colleague also may help me to answer some questions.
We also have Dr. Alejandro Chavez Badio also here from New Hope and in the Mexican clinic. So let's open up the line for a question from our journalists who have called in.
Your first audio question comes from Leanne Winnick.
Hi. Wondering what you know about the baby's health at this point and the exact age of the baby now.
Yes. The baby is now approximately 6 months old, and so far, and we hear the news, there's no any complication abnormality was found, and a formal evaluation result is pending, and the result, once the results come, we'll let everybody to share.
I'm sorry, when would we have that formal evaluation?
The formal evaluation is on the way, and we should have these results once the evaluation is completed. But from the information we got from the, and so far, and no any abnormality or unusual finding was obtained from this baby, from this boy actually.
Okay, let's
Next
take a question from...
Yes.
Hi. So I understand that this patient was referred to you by Dr. Griffo, and I'm wondering if you're going to receive other referrals, and also if you would transfer a female blastocyst.
Yeah, that's a very good question. This patient was originally seen by us in 2011, and it took 4 years for us to have a long discussion and consultation and fully discuss with the patient about the risk, benefits, and alternatives. And the first 2 years, patient will just cannot make a decision after we present with all these 3 factors. And it took 4 years. A patient eventually discussed with us again, and I vividly remember, patient kept all the consultation notes, drawings, they drawn with the patient. I was amazed. They brought everything back I gave to them 4 years ago. And parents. So I can know from that point, I know they are determined, they are very brave, and they want determined to have a healthy baby after 10 years now of trying. Come back to your question, and yes, I think there's more and more patients now read the news, and they approach us to see if we can help them. Some have exactly LEIGH syndrome, and some approach to Dr. Alejandra. They have a different kind of syndrome, but related to the same kind of pathological mechanism. So yes, we are being approached by patients from different parts of the world. Oh, sorry about this question. I think eventually we can consider transfer the female embryo, but the only advantage to transfer male embryo is not that we feel that female embryo have a higher risk than male. And we had a long discussion with our team at Professor Wang, who is the director of Cincinnati Children's Hospital and one of the world leaders in the mitochondrial DNA. We all did a due diligence analysis, and we all feel that there are no scientific data will say trans female have a high risk to have offspring. But to eliminate these pathogenetic genes from the family tree, trans male embryos, that means this gene will be stopped from that point on. So theoretically, their family trees from these boys will no longer have this genetic defect.
If you only had a female blastocyst?
That's actually a very, very, very good question. If we had a female embryo, whether we should transit female. Now, there's a lot of vivid conversation, and it's a very, very good question. We had a long discussion with the patient about different kind of scenarios, but due to the patient confidentiality, and I just don't feel comfortable to disclose too much details. But this is a very good question. In the different patient, if the patient were allowed to disclose more information, I really would love to share with you the conversation. It would just, from the many different perspectives, just let's leave this family aside. Let's not talk about this family. I really very respect the patient privacy, and we want to leave this family alone. But just a quick story. A couple walked in today, said, I want to have a baby. My family has a mitochondrial DNA. My husband really loves to have a girl, and in his family, just for all the reasons. But from my heart, I really don't want this genetic disease to carry on into the rest of my family. I have a cousin, have a niece, they're all very affected. So Dr. Zhang, help me make a decision. Should we transfer male embryo or transfer male female? There are many religious reasons, family preference, and socioeconomic background. That's all going to affect this decision. And I really don't think this decision, as a physician, as a scientist, and we can really make a decision. That's why this proper counseling of this kind of very unique patients and proper consent and fully discuss about risk, benefits, and alternatives. And I think it's become very, very important and mandatory. And eventually, I think we can work with the decision. But in the end, I think eventually some couple will like to transfer a female embryo, some couple will like to transfer male embryo. But in this particular case, I would so much want to share this information with you, but I just cannot because we are really at the Dr. Chapter, and me and our teams are all really want to, respect the patient's privacy. If the more stories come out, the patient will put in like, oh yeah, that's what I am. That's what I am. So we don't want to get this kind of situation. But this is an excellent question, and we can continue this conversation for the next couple of years.
Your next question comes from Marilyn McConey.
Yes, hello,
hi, thanks very much. Hi, good morning. Dr. Zhang, can you tell us, have you done or attempted any other of these procedures since the one you're reporting on today? And then also if you're aware of anyone else who has attempted or done any of these since yours.
Mm-hmm. Well, between our teams, we've been discussing what should we do the next step. Obviously, we want advanced medicine, and sooner or later, somehow, the work will be fully carried out. For now, we are just so busy to prepare the meeting and review what we have done. So very soon we will come out with a plan how should we proceed to the next step.
So are you saying you have not done one since this case?
For now, we have not pursued any more cases, even though we have more requests. We definitely want to continue this work, but we are just to review our technique. Practically, we need to take a vacation. We're all really tired. So after then, we're going to be fully engaged, and we'll come out something really cool and good. Next question?
Yes. Next question from the audience here. Next question from our callers.
Yes.
Your next question comes from Andrew Joseph.
Hey, thanks so much. I'm wondering if you have spoken with or heard from any U.S. regulators or U.S. health officials about your work since it was announced, or if any, I guess, like hospitals have reached out to you as well, U.S. hospitals.
Yes. So obviously, and everything we do have to follow the guidance and the recommendation of the proper regulation group, and we do everything, have to follow the guidance. So that's where we perform these procedures. And for now, we are not quite at the stage, we're doing something which we don't know what's the guidance. So, but we just follow the guidance for now, and it doesn't matter we perform the work here or wherever we want to do, and it's going to follow the guidance. Actually, my colleague, Dr. Chavez, is here. Chavez, do you have any comments about this question?
Yeah. We have contacted the Mexican authorities after this, and actually we had live, we were interviewed live in Mexican news, and again, everything in Mexico was done within the regulatory frame that allows for this fertility treatment. So we have been in touch with them. Since then, they actually went and inspected us to make sure that everything was perfectly fine, as they do on an annual basis, and everything is fine. So yes, we have contacted the authorities in Mexico, and we have discussed about how we want to move forward. There was a question before regarding whether we're planning to move ahead with further treatments, and of course we would like to do it. These cases are not easy to find, and now that we have reported these first live births, we're expecting families to contact us, and we're hoping that we'll be able to help them. Also, I believe that once you have a pregnancy and a live birth, you want to withhold a bit to make sure that everything is perfectly fine, that the baby is healthy. So we need, as Dr. Zhang said, we need to take a vacation, make sure that once that we know, as we do now, that everything is fine, we're ready to move ahead probably in a couple of months.
How do you define the cross line? If a patient had a heart transplantation many years ago in Johannesburg, in South Africa, it was considered to be immoral. It was considered to be something terrible. This is a horrible sign, nothing for somebody's heart and somebody. Your body is not pure. You've got to have some organs from third party. But today, I just get one patient pregnant with a baby with triple organ transplantation. She had a lung transplantation, liver transplantation, and a kidney transplantation at the same time. And she came to have a baby. But nobody will discuss charity, but ethically, she is not pure and does not cross the line because she has all three organs of her body from somebody else. But it took many years of debate, responsible debate, and the change of our thought. And now I think people understand, not enough, but more and more general public accept this organ transplantation. Again, I'm not sure to answer your question, but I can give you another scenario. In 1978, when the first ideal baby was born, don't you show this slide again? 1978, I read the memoir by Bob Edwards. In his memoir, he said in 1978, when Louis Brown was born, 80% of the comments is criticized. Only 20% was in favor. But today, I don't think people spend a lot of time to discuss actual issue about in vitro fertilization. This saves millions of people have healthy babies. And so now look at Bob Edwards, and he was criticized. He was forced to move out of the clinic from University of Cambridge to Hong Kong because University of Cambridge did not have anything to do with his first baby was born. But it took 30 years when he suffered from Alzheimer's disease and wheelchair bound, and he was rewarded with Nobel Prize. So I cannot answer your question directly, but I just feel the difficult to answer this question is among 100 people here, we may not have standard definition of what is cross the line. So if I answer the question, it may really address all the people. So I'm sorry I turned around, but I hope I want to take this opportunity to open up more questions. I think this can help this situation.
Okay.
So you see this is 1978, Capital and Barbell. And by the time the Nobel Prize is coming, Capital already passed away from cancer, and Bob Edwards was suffered from Alzheimer's disease, and his wife went to receive the reward. So this is the whole story.
Hopefully not your case.
No.
I just want the 5K rate.
Oh yes. First of all, I am not in any comparison. My knowledge, my skill, and our team is competitive with Bob Edwards' team. For myself, not in any way close to that level, but certainly, thanks to my husband, I just went the 5K run in my age group yesterday, but I cannot disclose my age. So I think I'm in a good shape. Oh yes, I do. In case somebody wants to take a picture. 5K and 23 minutes, 33 seconds.
That was the press conference for,
Okay.
Sorry, we carried that way.
All right. Next question from our callers.
Your next question comes from Jennifer Cousin Frankel.
Hi, thanks so much for taking my question. I had a
Good
couple
morning.
actually. I just wanted to go back to something that a previous questioner had asked, whether there had been any previous attempts, ones that maybe didn't result in a pregnancy, did result in a pregnancy but not a live birth, or even did result in a live birth but weren't reported. And I also just wanted to ask when the formal evaluation you mentioned will be completed and what that's going to consist of on the baby.
Yes. So to answer your first question, this is our very first case, clinical case, but of course our in vitro study, we have tested different approach and perfect technique for the last 20 years. And my colleagues here, they can give some extra comments. And regarding the evaluation of this boy, and as I said, so far we do not obtain any abnormal findings. And but we, again, due to the confidentiality, the privacy for the family, and we have a very clear instruction how much we can disclose about the information, even though we know this from medical scientific point of view, it's a very important information. We can assure everyone, and that's also part of our future research, that the long-term follow-up is mandatory. But for this particular case, and we just cannot give you more information due to the confidentiality of the kid and the family.
So you can't give more information about what you're looking for, not necessarily the results, just what's going to be a part of this evaluation?
Very good. I can tell you what you need to be looking for, but not necessarily specifically to address this patient again. And I just have to repeatedly emphasize we are extremely respectful to this patient's confidentiality. But what need to be followed up, as I'm going to present in an hour scientific presentation, we need to look at all aspects of the well-being of the offspring in the future. We need to look at the mitochondrial DNA drifting, see any change with increased age. We definitely want to follow up in the many different physical exam and follow-up, and they should be followed up for the long term. Just like in vitro fertilization, I have a baby, we have all the registrations, We have every country have to report with all the IVF cases, ICSI cases, PGD cases. This is a part of the norm, and this technique should not be exceptional without a proper follow-up, just like in vitro fertilization, ICSI, egg freezing, embryo freezing, and should be followed. This is part of the routine. We just have to follow exactly as previous reproductive technology, and this time should not be exceptional for follow-up as previous invented technologies. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I didn't understand your answer on the previous attempts. Were you saying you have not done any previous attempts of this technology in humans?
Here is the answer. Did you hear that?
So this is I didn't really. He said this is the first patient that came to you?
Yeah, this is the first patient that came to us.
Okay, so you hadn't tried this before?
No, but we tried many different kind of techniques. In vitro study, as you can see, not only we tried, and many groups in England, in the United States, have been working on this technology for many years.
Thank you.
On this, so keep the record straight. Your technique, clinical trial is indeed is not first attempt, but for the clinical application for the mitochondrial DNA is the first attempt. And of course, the technology is very different. The technology we use is, at that time we did it called nuclear transfer. So all the technique performed after eggs being fertilized first. It's a very similar technique as our colleague, led by Professor, actually Sir Turbo in Newcastle. Very similar technique. But now we move to the next stage, as I described. If you can perform these procedures before fertilization, it's always, in our point of view, it's more desirable, and then get the egg fertilized first, then use the nuclear transfer, and half of the embryos are just fertilized for the technique with no intention to make offspring, and also technically increase the workload. There are many things. So that's just our opinion for our own group. Dr. Chavez, agree with me? No, it does not represent other groups' point of view. They may have different view. They may think nuclear transfer is more superior. Yes, but just to make it clear that